फार्मसी कॉलेजमध्ये शिकवतेस, तुमच्या करिक्युलममध्ये हा विषय आलाय की नाही शिकवायला? आय सेड येस. मग तो प्रोफेसर्सलाच येत नसेल तर मुलांना कुठून येणार? तुला लाज वाटायला पाहिजे की तुला हा विषय येत नाही असं तू म्हणतेस. यू टॉकिंग टू इन सच अन एक्साइटेड व्हॉइस. गुलजार वगैरेंचा फोन होता की काय? And I said yes. So even she knew that when can her mother get so excited.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you on another episode of Emotionally Yours with Pratik. Today we are fortunate to have Ms. Mridula Bele with us. Somebody who's done excellent work in intellectual property, pharmaceutics. Besides that, she has multiple hobbies, right from handlooms, handicrafts, and something which connects both of us as a common hobby, Gulzar Sahab. She's been an author, a writer, an avid reader, and multifaceted personality. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Mridula.
Thank you. Such a pleasure being on your podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're most welcome. It indeed is a pleasure connecting with you. And my first question to you is, you've been an author, you've been avid reader, you've been in pharmaceutics for pretty long time, you've done multiple degrees including the law graduation and pharmaceutical background, etc, etc. Let us take us through the journey that you have, because I remember off camera that we were talking some time back, you mentioned that you really feel great when you're connected with the roots. So let's start with the roots.
Yeah. My roots are a small town called Jamkhed in Nagar district.
Right.
I was not born there. I was not brought up there. I was born and brought up in Nashik, and that is my father's town.
Okay.
So we have what we call in Marathi a vada in town, and a farm, huge farm, which is some 4-5 kilometers away. I have spent all my vacations in that town. After we used to live for 1 or 2 days in our vada in the town, we used to travel to our farm, and my grandfather and grandmother used to live in that farm. So I have very vivid memories of my vacations there. It was a small home which was as good as a zhopdi in Marathi.
Okay.
There were no lights, no toilets, but there was a gotha from all the 3 sides, and a small hut at the center, and I have spent all my vacations there. We used to sleep at night open air or in the bullock cart slanting position, and I think those are the roots I remember the most. Most beautiful times of my life, and I feel so connected that although I have spent all my life in Nasik, that has been my karma bhumi. I was brought up, raised there, I got married in the same town, I work in the same place, but whenever I ask my soul where are my roots, I feel it is in that town, and the ancestral house and the farm and the vivid memories of my grandfather and grandmother.
Wow. So something that your parents have come from.
Yeah.
You feel that those are the roots that you're connected
Yes.
with. Awesome. And when you were describing the farm and the bullock carts and the vada and everything, I visualized almost everything, and I'm so much tempted to visit this place in
Sure,
those
we'll
rustic times and create those beautiful memories. So I'm really glad that you've spoken about something that moves you when you feel, because the show is about emotions.
Yeah.
And our emotions first get connected with the place where we have the fondest of the memories.
Right. And I feel what a person becomes is all depends on his or her childhood. And I'm so grateful to my parents and grandparents for providing me that beautiful memories in my childhood, which is a integral part of me as a personality.
So good to know. And then you got educated in Nasik.
Yeah, I was always in Nasik. I
You were
used to
always in
visit
Nasik.
Jamkhed only during the vacations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, I mean, how did you really feel like going towards pharmaceutics?
See, it's a very typical story of anybody who wishes to do majors in biological based careers. So, if we want to further stretch it back, basically, I always used to love books and poetry and all, but I was a good student. And in those days, if you are scoring good, if you are good in studies, it was mandatory that you become a science graduate. So I took science in 11th and 12th. My marks in 12th were not good enough to take me to MBBS. I didn't want to do maths, so I ended up doing pharmacy. And there are no regrets for that decision because I ended up loving the curriculum I took up. Then, so it was the first accident in my life that I ended up doing a graduation in pharmacy. Then I ended up, another accident was I ended up becoming a professor. So if you become a professor, it is mandatory that you do your PhD and so on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you describe as accidents are actually the decisions taken during those times,
Yeah.
basis your gut feel or the instinct.
Yeah.
Okay, gut feel, instinct, judgments, these are various aspects of decision making,
Yeah.
that we say, which originally come from our subconscious mind.
Yes.
Right? Somewhere something tells us that this is going to work.
Yes.
Somewhere something tells us that this is the thing that I need to be doing, so on and so forth. And as you rightly described, that your interest was in biology. Let me tell you something honestly on a lighter note. That I was pathetic in biology. And I gave up my struggle of biology after standard 10, though I was a science student. Till 12th, I went for electronics, which was an option to biology.
Right.
So the thing that was the scariest of the things for me was drawing. And the only drawing that in biology I could draw was amoeba.
Because it doesn't have any proportion.
Because it doesn't have any shape,
Yeah.
right? So that's really nice. And
Yeah.
what attracted you towards poetry and especially Gulzar Saab?
Gulzar Saab was a late love. I belong to Nashik, and if you are aware, Nashik is a city of
Karambhumi
Kusumagraj. Yeah. And somewhere during my school days, I got introduced to Vishakha, which is Kusumagraj's first Kavya Sangraha.
Correct.
And it was my own journey. Nobody guided me to that. We used to live in a colony and we had a beautiful library there. And during my vacations, I used to spend most of my time in that library. And I stumbled upon Vishakha one day. There were some poems of Kusumagraj in our curriculum. And I was surprised that Usi poet ka ye book hai. I started reading it. And I fell in love with that book. At that age, I don't think I understood the meaning of the poems. But the command on Marathi and the vocabulary and the energy which he had attracted me to it. And then that journey never ended. So it was my personal journey. On one end, I was doing all my studies and science, and on the other end, this was my own journey where I could not share it with anybody. I didn't have any friend who could understand and realize the beauty of that poem. But I fell for it. Then I got to meet Kusumagraj one day. Wow. And it was an overwhelming experience. And then it never stopped. So I started loving poetry. Then when I was 21 or 22, one of my cousins gifted me Pukhraj. Okay.
Gulzar
Saab's Pukhraj. So generally for people who love Gulzar Saab, their journey is from his film lyrics to his poetry. For me, it was other way around. I started reading Pukhraj first and I was shaken by that experience. And then I started listening the lyrics which Gulzar Saab writes mindfully. Otherwise, in India, when we are listening to Bollywood music, we are all driven by the beats and music, and we don't tend to listen to the lyrics carefully. And then as I started listening to the lyrics carefully, the lyrics started showing me way at many times. For example, एक राह रुक गई तो और जुड़ गई. Then at a later stage of my life, I did a 8 days course with Dr. Anand Nadkarni on rational emotive behavioral therapy. When I learned about REBT, I thought I can find elements of REBT in many of Gulzar Saab's lyrics.
Absolutely.
For example, तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई शिकवा तो नहीं. So when all the Hindi films tell us कि तू नहीं मिली तो मर जाऊंगा, here is a lyricist who says that
तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई
शिकवा तो नहीं, जिंदगी. Yeah, so and then he became my friend, philosopher, guide. So in many difficult times, now when I look back, I have seen that his lyrics have shown me a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gulzar Saab's lyrics always show a way.
Yeah.
In most difficult situations, in most confusing moments
True.
of life. And like yourself, I have a very similar memory where I read Pukhraj of Gulzar Saab. I fell in love with that book. I read multiple books, and Baat Pashmine Ki was something that I picked up.
Yeah.
And one fine day, accidentally, I happened to meet Gulzar Saab when he was one of the chief guests for one of the poetry sessions of Marathi Sahitya Sammelan, which was held in Pimpri Chinchwad. So I went there, I got those books autographed. Those were some of the best moments that I have spent with him.
May I tell you my moment
Sure.
with Gulzar ji?
Sure.
If you remember, in Pukhraj there is one poem called Pompeii.
Pompeii.
Yeah. So when I read that, I never knew what Pompeii is. Then I started I tried to find out where is this town, what is this town. Then I learned the history of Pompeii, which is
Julius Caesar's.
which is a town in Italy,
Right.
which was buried because of the eruption of a volcano.
Right.
Then I started telling people, those who were visiting Italy, कि अगर टाइम मिलता है तो जाके पोम्पे देख के आना और मुझे बताना कि वो जगह क्या है.
Correct.
Then a beautiful thing happened to my life, and I ended up visiting Italy to do my LLM. So I was in Italy and I used to get time during my studies. So I decided to visit Pompeii. When I visited Pompeii, it was a shaken. I was
Shaking up
shaken.
Experience.
Yeah. So in the evening, I ran out of that place because it became unbearable for me to be there. And when I came out, while sitting in a cafeteria outside the old Pompeii, I am not a poet. I never write poetry. But on the tissue paper in the cafeteria, I wrote 2 lines. And then I ended up writing an article on that experience, that how Gulzar Saab's poem on Pompeii took me to Pompeii. And then that article was published in Lok Satta's Diwali Anka. And one fine day, I received a call from Gulzar ji.
Wow.
And it was from Arun Shevteji, who is
Correct.
his friend. I was in a hurry in the morning, was leaving for some lecture. I didn't pick up the phone. Then he called again. Then I picked up and he said, मैं अभी गुलजार साहब के घर में हूँ. I loved your article on Pompeii and I have read it out to Gulzar Saab and he wants to speak with you.
Wow.
And I was like so thrilled that the voice I am in so love with
Right.
is speaking to me on the phone call. And he said कि मेरे नज़्मों का एक संग्रह अभी छपने जा रहा था. And I have removed this poem. I had removed this poem from that book. But तुमने देखो, it connected you, it took you to Pompeii, then you wrote an article which starts with my poem and ends with your poem. So this is how literature connects souls. And now in your memory, I'm going to keep this nazm in that book, and तुमने मेरे नज़्म को बचा लिया. So that is the journey. Then we kept connecting. I kept writing on his poetry.
Wow.
if time permits, a book will get published. So let's see.
Great. So moving from the poetic mind, the beauty of literature, etc., immediately I see an analytical mind,
Yeah.
which analyzes formulation, which talks about IP and copyright.
Yeah.
Whereas in India, copyright is equated to right to copy on a lighter note.
Yeah.
So, what really made you to go for intellectual property, thinking that this is an area which can make a significant difference in the industry, in the people's lives, and various identification methods, so on and so forth?
Let me tell you, there was no such thought behind it. To be
Another
honest,
beautiful accident, is it?
to be honest with you, I'm a person completely governed by my impulsive behavior and passion. So when I joined my college as a professor, when I graduated in 1995, I did my bachelor's and master's in 1997. We were never taught about patents. In around 2002-2003, patents was included in our curriculum, and there was nobody who could teach that subject in my college, because we were all pharmacists. No? We were never introduced to law. And then every year our principal used to choose one person कि अभी इस साल तुम्हें पढ़ाना है, and it was a very difficult task to teach law.
Correct.
During the same time, so I could sense कि अभी मेरा नंबर आने वाला है. And at the same time, one of my friends who did his PhD and 2 postdocs in pharmaceutical chemistry abroad, he returned back to India. And instead of joining core pharmaceutical sciences, he joined intellectual property of a pharma company. He was a classmate. He is a classmate. And one fine day when we were talking on a call, he told me about a story of a drug patent, a recent case a major case which has happened in India. He kept telling me about it for 30-40 minutes, and I was like, okay. Then at the end of that call, I said ki मला काहीच कळलं नाही, तू काय बोलतोयस ते. And then he said one sentence in Marathi, if I may speak it in Marathi. He said की तू फार्मसी कॉलेजमध्ये शिकवतेस, तुमच्या करिक्युलम मध्ये हा विषय आलाय की नाही शिकवायला? आय सेड येस. मग तो प्रोफेसर्सलाच येत नसेल तर मुलांना कुठून येणार? तुला लाज वाटायला पाहिजे की तुला हा विषय येत नाही असं तू म्हणतेस. इन दोज मेनी वर्ड्स ही सेड की तुला लाज वाटायला पाहिजे. अँड ॲज आय मेन्शन इन आवर ऑफ कॅमेरा टॉक्स, मला मिरची लागते खूप असं कोणी बोललं की. सो मला लाज वाटली. For 2-3 days, I was thinking about it. And on the 4th day, I called my friend up and said, "Mala खूप लाज वाटली आहे. So you tell me now how I get myself educated in this." And then the journey began. I did a diploma. In the meantime, my PhD got over.
Correct.
So if you are doing PhD in science stream, while you are a working mother, you are working, you have a family, you have a young kid, and you are doing your PhD. It's a very tough task. And the day it gets over, there is a vacuum in your life. कि अभी मैं क्या करूँ? हो गया.
What's the next goal?
What's the next? So आज मेरा वाइवा हुआ. The next day I got myself admitted to a LLB course. In the middle of my LLB, I got selected in that LLM in Italy. So मैंने आधा LLB मेरे LLM के बाद complete किया. And so the only decision which governed the only thing which governed that decision was that sentence.
That friend's phone call.
Yeah, and I never knew that this subject is going to become so important in pharma. उसमें बहुत career prospects है. Nothing like that.
So what you're saying is, a small realization,
Yes.
an aha moment
Yeah.
from criticism,
Yes.
an illumination out of
Yes.
that criticism or reflection,
Yes.
and then sudden realization saying that, look, this is something that I need to
Yes.
look at. And you went for LLM studies.
Yes.
That's where you went to Italy.
Yeah.
Now that story I have read,
Yeah.
about you going to Italy, I would like to understand a little bit about it, A. And B, while talking,
Yeah.
you've spoken about many things being done together.
Mhm.
Now, this is something that we find most of the working women doing.
Yeah.
And then there are stereotypes developed for working women,
Yeah.
about working women, saying that whether she could cook, she could
Yeah.
do this. And off camera, you told me that you love cooking because that's equivalent to the formulations
Yes.
that you have studied.
Yeah.
So my first question is, A, let's talk about journey to Italy,
Mhm.
how it happened,
Mhm.
and B is about the superwoman syndrome
Yeah.
that we spoke.
Yeah. So about the admission to Italy is also a very interesting story.
Right.
I decided to apply to that LLM, which is conducted by World Intellectual Property Organization, which is in Geneva. So it is a United Nations arm
Correct.
who takes care of patents worldwide. They organize a joint LLM in Italy, University of Turin, Italy, and WIPO. So it's a very prestigious course, and they have some 40 admissions, of which there are only 13 scholarships. So the scholarships, obviously, people apply from all across the globe. So when I decided to apply, I knew that I have a very slim chance because it must be a great rush over there. But I still applied. And I was hoping against the hope that I may get admitted because my CV looks very good. But as expected, one fine day I received an email from them saying, "We are sorry to inform you that we cannot admit your candidature, accept your candidature." That was again a Mirchi moment.
Mhm.
So that thought, that email kept bothering me for 2 days, that why I did not get admitted. Who are the ones who got admitted?
The sense of rejection.
Rejection. And what do they know more than me? What was that kami which I need to? So you'll be surprised that one fine day, it was an impulsive decision to call up the WIPO office at Geneva. I called them up. An international call in those days used to be expensive. I called them up. A lady picked, and I kept asking her questions that why was I not admitted? Who are the ones who got admitted? What do I lack in my CV? She said ki there is no problem with your CV, but because we have only 13 admissions, 13, we have a quota based on the continents, we have a quota based on the gender. So last year we had given an admission to an Indian, this year we can't give. That doesn't mean you're lagging in sometimes. But I kept bombarding her with my questions. She got tired probably, and then she said that I'm transferring this call to the WIPO Academy director. Would you like to have a word with him? Then I was scared because I was not prepared for it. I had not done my homework, and the call was on. So in few microseconds, if you know the author Anil Avsat in
Of
Marathi.
course.
So in one of his book, he mentions about 2 sentences which are my mantra of living. Far far ta kai hoil. That is one of his mantra. So I decided far far ta kai hoil. Anyway, I have a rejection email. At the most, that director will think that who is this lady who is questioning my decision? Let him be. Let him. So within few seconds, I told him, transfer the call. The WIPO director talked to me for 45 minutes. And he didn't ask a single question which will question my technical knowledge in
Okay.
IP. I had already done a diploma in intellectual property. He was trying to find out what is my motivation to do this course. Then he offered me several options. He said, now that the admission process is over, I can't admit you to the program. Maybe you can apply next year. I'll make a note of this. Or maybe you can apply to Queensland University in Australia, where we have few more reservations for Asians. To every option that he gave me, I said no. So I said, I can't come next year because my daughter would be in 9th, which is an important year of schooling. I can't come to Queensland because it is a 1-year program. I won't be able to get a leave. I want to come to Turin, and that too only if it is possible this year. Okay.
Okay.
Then
So you
he-
rejected all the proposals.
I rejected all the proposals. Then he said, मन ही मन में उसने बोला होगा कि भाई मुझे माफ कर दे. So he said, okay, then I can't help you. But at the time of putting the phone down, he said, why don't you send your application documents to my personal email ID? I cannot assure you anything that admission process is over, but just send it to me. And I sent it across. The course had a distance learning module in the beginning. I was hoping against the hope that probably I may receive an admission. But I knew that on 1st of June, the distance learning module had started, and it was on 6th of June, I said, Abhi to nahi milne wala. And I received a phone call from Geneva. The same lady whom I was arguing with, she asked that we have a dropout in the 13 fellowships we gave. One
Right.
person has informed us that he can't take up the fellowship because of his family reasons. So the WIPO director told me that you remember that lady from India
Good
who was
call.
arguing with me? Ask her if she wants to come. That is how I got admitted. So again, a gut decision. Had I not argued with him, probably I wouldn't have got it.
While you were describing, I found many emotions since the show is about emotional
Mhm,
intelligence. Yeah, you speak about impulse,
Yeah,
you speak about humiliation,
yeah,
you spoke about rejection
yeah,
and the anger that fueled from that rejection.
yeah.
You spoke about
No, it was not anger. I wanted to know where do I lag
right,
compared to
the rejection,
yeah,
the sense of
yeah,
being
the
rejected
rejection. Yeah,
or disappointment
Yeah.
coming out of
yes,
it. So there are many emotions that I
True.
see. Something that you love doing,
yes,
okay, something which is your calling.
yeah,
You talk about gut feel, instinct,
yeah,
impulse, you know, or motivation
yeah,
right now, where, that motivation comes from little humiliation somebody
Yes.
does, which you call it as mirchi.
yeah,
By the way, that's one of my favorite things. I eat
yeah.
close to 4
Even
to 6.
I love it.
All right. So, those are things that keep you going.
Yes,
And then there are many things which may not act so well for you.
yeah,
There are emotions which are destructive, there are emotions which are constructive.
yeah,
So, what are those emotions where, you felt like, at times, you felt like giving up?
yeah,
At times, you felt like, no, this is something that is way beyond your reach.
yeah,
Or you felt like this is something that I wanted to do, but unfortunately, I cannot make it.
yeah. Yeah, many times these things have happened. Like when I did finish my LLM, I ended up topping my class, and my professor at Turin asked me that I would like to have you as a PhD student, a second PhD in Italy. So I said no, I can't come, considering I have a young daughter and I can't move to Italy. So there is always a balancing act happening in mind, especially if you are a working female and a mother. You are continuously weighing your career against your family. So there are many such occasions when you have to give up. Even in in academic institutes, you don't find a conducive environment every time. You don't find people who speak the same language which you speak. You don't have like-minded people. It happened in my institute as well. And it is a government-aided institute. So once you get in, it's a very lucrative job and you are set for your life. But still I started feeling that how am I going to spend 20 years in this place if I don't like anything? One fine day, a aha moment happened that why don't I look at this in a way that because I don't have like-minded people at my workplace, मेरा कुछ time pass ही नहीं होता है. I have a lot of time because after 4-5 years in academia, you don't have to read so much to be able to teach.
Correct.
So I have a lot of free time. So let me use this time to do something else, and whatever social circle I am missing in my institute, let me find it outside. So let me use this time. And then despite having a young daughter and a family and quite a demanding job, I started reading and studying in that free time. And that is how I could finish my LLB and LLM and a diploma and a PhD. Because I still remember my LLB days when my daughter used to have exams. We used to have exams in my college and I used to have exams. So balancing that out, finding time. So that was, I feel, the way you look at it. So had I remained depressed throughout कि अभी मैं कैसे मेरा life गुजारा करूँगी यहाँ पे, I just changed my perspective of looking at that thing, and it changed my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is change of perspective.
Yeah.
And ensuring that the same thing can be looked from various ways.
Yeah.
And find your aha moment there. From there, I see that you have written multiple articles in Lok Satta. And I love the titles because they come from Gulzar Saab's poetry. Many times. And educating people about IP and intellectual property. Now, this field is full of arguments, B, disputes. C, at times very frustrating environment because it's too analytical, too critical. It's always said that at times people become their jobs. If you're critically evaluating something, you eventually start looking at all other things in the same critical light. Has it ever happened with you?
No.
All right.
No. The way, in psychology, you tend to analyze people on whether they have a left brain dominance or a right brain dominance. I feel I have equal hemispheres. Probably I have two personalities. So I'm extremely scientific and analytical. And at the same time, I'm extremely emotional and poetic. And at times it changes from occasion to occasion, which part of my brain is governing me. So I don't think it has ever happened that my analytical brain has taken over me.
The critical thinking aspect.
I am thinking critically when I need to think critically, but otherwise not. So never in relationships or friendships, I don't become critical. And now that we are speaking about my profession, I am a scientist as well.
Correct.
I am a researcher. So I would like to tell you what research has taught me.
Yes.
So when you are working on the bench in the lab and you start observing some phenomena, some observations, some results, a researcher tends to stick to, you have 4-5 hypotheses in mind that this results I am observing because either A is happening or B is happening or C or D. These are the 4 hypotheses. Now it is impossible for a researcher to be unbiased. Okay, you are a human being, so you always get attracted to one of the 4 theories. और मैं ऐसे दिमाग में फिक्स कर लेती हूँ कि ये जो रिजल्ट्स मिल रहा है वो मुझे A हाइपोथेसिस की वजह से मिल रहा है. And then I start looking at all the results from that perspective. मैं ऐसा before even seeing the conclusions, before even finishing the experiments, I have concluded कि ये ऐसे इसकी वजह से हो रहा है. And then one day you get some such observations or results which are crying from the rooftop that what you were thinking was wrong. Hypothesis A was wrong. And even though I am so attached and so attracted to that hypothesis, I have to quit it there and go back to B, start again, or go back to C, fail and start again. And this is something which teaches you lessons for all your life. That howsoever attracted I am to a thing or an emotion or a person, a time comes when it tells you that you now have to quit it.
A humbling experience.
Yes. And I will feel, I can tell you that something which I have learned from my critical thinking and my scientific studies approach is also a life lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the necessary agility to switch over between
Yes.
the two brains hemispheres
Yeah.
that you've spoken, okay, that tells a lot in terms of self-awareness,
Yeah.
which is the base of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Moving towards scientific temperament, moving towards multiple areas putting together.
Yeah.
I remember, some time back you just mentioned about feeling guilty of leaving your 8th standard child
Yes.
and then going for it.
Yeah.
And then, this is something that most of the females, were working females, working women, they always carry in them that they have to be perfect in all the spheres.
Yes.
Let it be cooking, let it be parenting, let it be their work area, let it be housekeeping, or everything and anything.
Yeah.
And it often causes self-inflicted stress,
Yes.
their own expectations from themselves,
Yes.
and then something like, oh, I have failed here, oh, I have disappointed people here.
Yeah.
I'm sure you might have come across these situations quite
Absolutely. Yes.
often. Then certain stereotypes
Yeah.
saying that you're a scientist, so you must be doing A,
Yeah.
or you're a working woman or independent working woman, so you may not be good at cooking,
Yes.
or you may not be good at other household chores.
Yeah.
So have you come across many such
Yeah.
stereotypes?
Many times. And I feel I call it a superwoman syndrome.
Mhm.
That I have to be good at everything, and I think this is a disease all working women are suffering from.
A disease.
Yeah, it is a disorder. It is a disorder which all working women are suffering from, the superwoman syndrome. Probably because we are not staying back at home. We try to take extra efforts to prove that I am equally attentive towards my child, towards my day-to-day chores at home. I remember I have seen my mother, who was a homemaker. We used to have a morning school on Saturday, and all other days it used to be an afternoon school. So if my get up in the morning and wake us up, or she was unable to prepare a tiffin, it was okay with her. और she used to say कि मत जाओ आज स्कूल, इतना क्या है, या आज आने के बाद लंच कर लेना. I have never done that with my daughter. Howsoever tired I am, I have to get up and give her 3 tiffins, because otherwise people will say कि देखो ये काम कर रही है ना, तो बच्ची की तरफ ध्यान नहीं है. So this happens more with working females, and they try to go that extra mile in their day-to-day life. At the same time, at the workplace, a female has to prove herself much more than a male. Because if a male was assigned a job and he could not do it, it is just that he could not do it. But if a female is assigned a job and she could not manage to do it, immediately she is labeled कि इनका कहाँ ध्यान होता है, इनको कहाँ काम की जरूरत होती है,
Still
इनको
does
तो
that
घर भागना होता है 5 बजे.
Still does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when the industry talks about DEI.
No, it 100% happens. I am a sufferer of that. So you have to prove much more than a male colleague to prove that you are at par. So दोनों तरफ बहुत ज़्यादा stress है for a female, and it eats you up. So one fine day I decided, and then you get trapped in that superwoman syndrome कि ये तो घर इतना अच्छा रखती है, ये she cooks so well, and I am a good cook. So मेरे बेटी को तो मेरे हाथ का ही बना खाना चाहिए, and so on and so forth. So a moment of realization has to come in your life when you realize that you can't do all.
And it's okay to
not to do
a few things.
So I have a maid who cooks in the morning and evening, but still if she is on leave, I am very happy that आगे 2-3 दिन मैं खुद कुक करने वाली हूँ.
On a lighter note, Mridula,
Yeah.
you're the first woman that I have come across who says, if the maid is not coming, I'm very happy.
I am very happy. But she has to inform me in advance
Right.
that she is on leave. And even if the maid is there, if I feel like cooking, I cook. But now cooking is not a compulsion for me. And if it is out of choice on a 1 or 2 days in a week, I am very happy. It is a great stress buster.
Yeah.
But otherwise, आप जब तक आपके वर्क प्लेस में पहुंचते हो, if you have to do everything and then reach, तो एक बहुत बड़ा इनिंग हो चुका होता है
True.
दिन का, and the entire day is in front of you. और फिर शाम को जाके और तीसरा इनिंग है. So that gets overwhelming. So you have to delegate what you can. I have seen many of my friends and females who take a pride in saying कि मेरे घर में तो मेरे बिना कुछ होता ही नहीं है.
I'm most indispensable.
Yes, and I feel you have to. It is a trap. You have to come out of it, and I could come out of it at a right time. And I have now designed my home in such a way that वो autopilot mode पे चलना चाहिए.
So nice.
अगर मैं हूँ तो मैं हूँ, नहीं हूँ तो नहीं हूँ.
Nobody is indispensable.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very good thought that most of those insecure minds
Yeah.
build up this theory of indispensability.
Yeah.
And that you trying to break that norm
Yes.
into various other ways. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you started loving handicrafts,
Yeah.
handlooms, and fabrics, so on and so forth. How did you come across this?
There was no particular reason how I started loving it, but I used to like females who used to wear handmade things, handmade jewelry, silver jewelry. It looks different and more graceful, and then let me try buying it. Now in those days we never used to have so many online stores, so try finding where does one get it and visit the exhibitions. Then I started, I have a curious mind. I am a very curious person. And if I can describe myself in one word, it would be either a curious person or I am a learner. Okay, I want to learn all the time. So when I ended up loving those fabrics and handlooms, I started researching on it. Why do I love it? What is it that is different than the power loom things? And then I started researching and what is the heritage India has? What are the handlooms? What is the relationship between the culture of a state and the handloom? And it's beautiful that the coastal states like Odisha and Bengal, how do they have the coastal animals like turtles and fish on the saris? And how it is that the carvings which you see in Maheshwar temples are used in the Maheshwari saris. So it is a very intriguing thing to learn. So I started learning, and I am a wanderer. So अच्छा लगा, पढ़ने लगे, उसका कुछ मीनिंग है क्या, उसका कुछ यूज होने वाला है क्या? I don't think, and I end up doing such things.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And then you talk about cultures. You
Yeah.
talk about various handloom, handicrafts, etc. And this curious mind is very, very important.
Yeah.
In emotional intelligence, I always say one has to be curious before becoming furious
Yeah.
at a particular situation or an event. So, with this curiosity you've built, you've been a scientist, you've written articles, and now on the art side,
Yeah.
poetry and Gulzar Saab's poems, and then you speak about handicraft, various other aspects. You've spoken about delegating effectively.
Yeah.
Now, often we find that most as people grow higher ups in their companies, in their professions, they start becoming a little insecure,
Yeah.
saying that AI is coming and they would be taking my job off, or automation is going to hit my industry really bad.
Hmm.
Okay, and then before I go redundant, it's better I keep things only to myself. What made you to come out of that mindset, or it wasn't there at all in the first place,
Yeah.
and start leading by example of delegating?
No, I was never, as you mentioned, I was never insecure. And now that I know I did well in pharma, I did well in MP, IP अगर बंद हो जाता है तो और तीसरा कुछ मिल ही जाएगा. So I'm sure that if you have analytic, if a person possesses certain skills, then wherever they go, कुछ तो meaningful कर ही लेंगे. And then if you want to explore new areas, if you want to keep doing well in different areas, you have to leave certain areas. That is what drives me.
Okay.
Because I feel females want to do everything. उनको रंगोली भी बनाना है, अच्छा कुकिंग भी करना है. They want to wear nice clothes. They want to be good in their family, loving to their children, and do well in careers. So they are, I feel, they always want to do more with their life than a man, and therefore then you will have to learn to leave certain things to
They
be
keep-
able to enjoy other things.
They keep themselves on the back seat and always think of others in the front.
Right.
Okay, from there it's very important to be assertive at times.
Yes.
And saying that this is okay. If
Yeah.
I can't do it, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Or if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Saying
We have to learn to say no
in
at
an
times.
correct.
Yeah.
In a non-offensive and
Yeah.
clearer and an assertive manner.
Never say yes when you want to say no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with this, now let us talk about some of the most emotionally difficult moments in your life
Yeah.
and how you overcame them.
I can say two most emotionally difficult moments where one when I left my daughter here and went to Italy to do my LLM. Again I was driven by guilt. ये सब करने के बाद I told you what I did to get
Right.
admitted. And once I got admitted and my tickets came and the day of me leaving India started approaching, suddenly guilt hit me. And I started thinking that मेरी daughter का अभी पढ़ने का time है and I am leaving her behind and I'm going. Am I being very selfish? And then I started telling everyone that I'm at home that now I don't want to go. And people were like, you did all this to get admitted and now that you are
Argued to
and
the
now that you are
director.
admitted you don't want to go. And you won't believe I cried for at least 15 days before I left India.
My God.
So it was a very emotionally turbulent moment. But then I finally went. When I went, then I enjoyed my. So cutting the cord is needed. So I realized that now there is nothing which can take me back home. Now I am here. I can't go back. And then I also taught myself that my husband is home, my in-laws are home, and they are equally, my
Supported.
daughter is equally loved by all of them. So why am I taking all the load? And I'm asking just 4 months of my life for myself, and it is okay. So that was one very turbulent moment. The second extremely turbulent moment was my dad's demise. And he was, again, there was a guilt. I can see now the pattern that why I was so disturbed. He was diagnosed with cancer. And being the eldest and being in Nasik, I was the one who was taking him to doctors. And because I am a pharma person, he trusted and my siblings also trusted me. दीदी जो बोलेगी वही करेंगे, उसी डॉक्टर के पास जाएंगे. And he had a history of hepatitis C, which was told to his doctors. And then he recovered from cancer, and he got ill with hepatitis, and he passed away in that. So then later on, few of the doctors told me that had he been given antiviral prophylactic, he would have never got hepatitis C. and that hit me very hard. And I started scolding me कि फिर क्या फ़ायदा इतना फार्मा आने का. He trusted me so much, and मुझे ये क्यों नहीं पता था कि he should have been given a antiviral. Then one of my cousins who is a doctor himself, he told me, "Arey, the doctor who was treating him was an oncologist. If he didn't know that, why would you know that? You are not a practicing doctor." But I could see that it took a very long time for me to get over that, because it was not only the grief, it was guilt as well. And because of which two of my siblings, they were suffering from grief. And for me, it was grief and guilt. So it took a very long time to tell myself that it is okay that you could not analyze that situation. And so otherwise I was cursing myself that why didn't I tell the doctor that he should be given? Why didn't I read so many research papers. फिर मेरे इतने knowledge का क्या फायदा है if it could not save my father. So these were the two, I think,
turbulent moments.
Extremely turbulent.
And the happiest moments?
You'll be surprised to know the happiest moment was when I ran my first 25-kilometer half marathon.
Oh.
Yeah. I was never a sports person. I used to hate sports. It was one area in which I was lagging. And when I used to see people running, I used to think, ये कैसे दौड़ते हैं यार? If I ran while I was walking on the track, if I ran 200 meters, I used to have stomachache. But then there is a very well-known running coach in Nasik whom I approached, and he said कि you can run. So I said नहीं, ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. But then there is one thing which I always tell myself, or that is one more mantra by which I go, कि अगर ऐसे लगता है कि ये करके देखना चाहिए तो देखना चाहिए. And what will happen at the most, I'll realize that ये मेरे बस की बात नहीं है, छोड़ना पड़ेगा. But करके ही देखा नहीं तो फिर I don't want that regret. So I approached that coach and he said कि you join my group. And I told him that probably I will leave your group in 15 days or 1 month. But he said, let's see. But he was a very moderate kind of person. So my running plan was run for 30 seconds. Run for 30 seconds, walk for 2 minutes. Run for 30 seconds, walk for 2 minutes. वहाँ से he slowly took me to run for 2 kilometers and walk for 1 minute. And then I could run a half marathon, and that was a great energizer.
Indeed a great achievement.
Because that is because I have been a studious person. So doing a PhD and doing a LLB was my studies have always been my forte. But this was never my area. So when I could finish a 21K half marathon, I was happier than when I did my PhD. So I feel that is the happiest
Those are the
moment.
most satisfying moments.
Yes.
And of course, receiving call from Gulzar Saab.
Yes, of course. Of course.
That definitely is one of the
happiest
most
moment. And you won't believe that it was an early morning time, 8:30 a.m. And when he called, and my daughter was still sleeping in her bedroom. And she could hear me talking to someone in an excited voice.
Mm-hmm.
And after the call ended, I went to her room, and everybody knows how I love Gulzar Saab. So she asked me, whom were you talking to in such an excited voice? Gulzar वगैरहचा phone होता कि काय? And I said yes. So she knew that when can her mother get so excited. You know what? Even though it was an extremely overwhelming moment for me, I could speak with Gulzar Saab whatever I wanted to. ऐसे नहीं हुआ कि ये रह गया वो रह गया. And then later on when I thought कि ये कैसे हुआ, I could realize that I have spoken to him in my mind several times. कि अगर मुझे वो कभी मिलते हैं तो मुझे उनसे ये पूछना है वो पूछना है. And probably I had rehearsed that dialogue in my mind several times. So despite being extremely overwhelmed, it was like आजकल
Emotional
पाए जमीन पर नहीं थे मेरे, but still I could speak my mind.
Emotional deja vu.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So we have really enjoyed talking to you on the journey that we spoke about various emotions, right from guilt to satisfaction to overwhelming to rejection to humiliation to anger to delegation, trust, so on and so forth. It indeed was awesome talking to you, Dr. Mridula. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Dr. Mridula Bele for us, who was unfolding her journey throughout. As per our tradition, we are going to request you to sign one of the mugs for us and give it to us, and one mug I will sign and give it to you.
Wow.
As a memorabilia.
Wow.
For your
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
It indeed is a pleasure.
Yeah.
So next morning when you have a kava, you would remember her.
Sure. Thank you.
Now it's your turn.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks again for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.